So thanks everyone for joining us for what we call the portfolio review with alumni professionals with Dr. LaMar Bagley, who's a theater alum from 2001. Unfortunately, today we don't have any submissions that were shared for Dr. Bagley to provide feedback on, but I'm hoping that after today's conversation, there might be some opportunities for students in the audience to connect with Dr. Bagley later and just maybe chat with him as an alum and an experienced theater professional. So just a few quick things. So about the Career Center, if you haven't used our services, we also have my colleague Chris Peterson here, who's a career coach on the call. And he is one of a team of folks who can provide a lot of these resources, like exploring your major and trying to find different ways to apply it, assessing your career path, and some other online resources, as well as your typical resume reviews, cover letters, possibly preparing for an interview, negotiating salaries. Chris is becoming well versed at that, and a few other activities that you can reach out to them for. And then my name is Holly Logan. I'm on the employer partnerships team, which basically means I help different organizations and professionals recruit at Temple University, whether that's students or alumni. And we help out with different things, creating these networking opportunities like we have today, where you can connect with alumni and other professionals in different industries. And I primarily work on government, nonprofit, law and legal services, and the performing and visual arts organizations. So that's what we have today. And if you haven't been on Handshake yet, that is one of our primary resources that you probably found out about this event, but hopefully you'll take a look for other events and jobs and internships. And that's the way you make appointments with coaches and a few other things. Some other upcoming events that might be of interest to you. We have another portfolio review next week with Darian Flip Fripps. He's a Klein alumnus out of the Communications and Media College. He focused on what was then the radio TV program. So he might have some interesting conversations with students around multimedia and different podcasting clips and or other audiovisual things. March 31st, we have a conversation with equitable employers called Equity, Employment, and Empowerment. That should be really interesting, a variety of 7 or 8 different organizations that are going to talk to students about what it's like if you identify as a person of color and different workplace opportunities and conversations to have in that diversity, equity, and inclusion space. And then April 1st and 2nd, we're hosting some rapid resume reviews where you'll have quick chances to have 10-minute conversations with folks, some staff, some faculty, some employers, to just give you quick feedback on your resumes so that you can either use that just for your own benefit, or if you want to use that in advance of the April 6th Senior and Alumni Career Fair, where that's our last fair of the season for anyone graduating or recently graduated looking for full-time jobs. And then if you're a grad student in the audience, definitely keep an eye on Handshake too. There's always a series of additional grad-specific events. So yeah, keep an eye out for those. If you're looking for professional clothing, whether it's to just round out your wardrobe or you maybe need a suit for an interview, even in this virtual capacity, that can still be really valuable to some employers. We have a partnership with an organization called The Wardrobe that they provide free and discounted clothing, professional clothing for a variety of students. So I'll drop it in the chat later, but email Brashay Pinder in our office and she can get you set up with an appointment to meet with folks there and get you what you need. And then here's just our information, Temple University Career Center. We're currently fully virtual right now through the end of the spring semester. So definitely keep in touch with us in a variety of ways. Handshake, our website, and there's our social media handle. And so that's the Career Center. And so now I'm going to talk a little bit about Dr. Bagley, and then I'll turn it over to him. So Dr. Bagley, thank you so much for being here today. Dr. LaMar Bagley, if you aren't familiar, has been working in theater and performing arts for almost 30 years as an actor, producer, director, arts educator, arts administrator, and certified arts integration specialist. 14 of those years being with the Seed School, Washington, D.C. community, where he serves as the producing artistic director of the award-winning Seed Falcon Theater. He is also a member of the school's senior leadership team and serves as the director of student life, leading the school's student life and boarding component. His work in arts education and musical theater was nationally recognized by Music Theater International and iTheatrics in 2018 with the Freddie G. Fellowship, an honor bestowed upon America's top arts educators producing musical theater. Additionally, the American High School Theater Festival recognized the Seed Falcon Theater as one of the top drama programs in the nation in 2016 and in 2019, and invited the program to represent the United States at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and the American High School Theater Festival. In January 2021, Dr. Bagley was recognized as Arts Educator of the Decade in the Washington, D.C. region by the 2020 Broadway World Regional Awards. Additionally, his direction of the 2019 production of Little Shop of Horrors with the Seed Falcon Theater received recognition for Best Ensemble Non-Equity. He currently sits on the alumni board of Temple University School of Theater, Film, and Media Arts, and is a four-time fellow of the Harvard Graduate School of Education, Arts and Education, Continuing the Conversation Institute. Dr. Bagley has served as vice chairman of the board of directors and the chair of the education committee of African Continuum Theater Company in Washington, D.C. Prior to working in DC, Dr. Bagley worked in Philadelphia as a professional producer, director, company manager, casting manager, arts educator, and academic teacher. While in Philadelphia, Dr. Bagley served as the executive director of the URBAN Entertainment Group, LLC, and the producing artistic director of the URBAN Theater Project, and the artistic consultant for the Black Heritage Theater Festival at Temple University. He also served as the artistic associate of Freedom Repertory Theater under the direction of the late Dr. Walter Dallas. Dr. Bagley received the Doctor of Education in K-12 Educational Leadership with a focus on arts education impact in urban communities. Additionally, he holds an executive certificate in arts and culture strategy from National Arts Strategies, University of Pennsylvania, School of Social Policy and Practice, a certificate on international perspectives on drama and education from Trinity College Dublin, and a certificate in arts integration from the Institute of Arts Integration and STEAM. So clearly a very experienced person and a really great person to have here with us today if you're interested in arts education in a variety of capacities. So we're very lucky to have Dr. Bagley. So I would like to turn it over to you, and if you want to share some words of wisdom with our students.
Sure, thank you, Holly. I did not, I'm gonna realize that bio was so long. My apologies.
It's great. No, it's all very important information. So no apologies, please.
So yes, thank you. I've been very blessed to experience theater and the arts the way that I have over the years. And a lot of doors have opened up for me because of my experience at Temple and with Temple Theaters. But it took, diligence, it took discipline, it took consistency. So I have a few, tips to share that, set the path for me and have, kept me going, over the past, many, many years. Step one is there is no exact formula to this. You can have all the training, from Temple, from Yale School of Drama, Juilliard. You could have been, cast in several shows in Philly, on Broadway or whatever it might be. And it just might be that, someone is walking down the street and they are in the right place at the right time, and they have no theater training or experience, and they land the dream role that you were seeking. And it isn't to say that they are not deserving of that role, but there's no true formula to who gets cast, when, and how. So don't take that personal. The grind does matter, and it takes grit and a tenacity to keep going forward. And then just understanding that there will be opportunities that do come for you as you go throughout your career. And then it's important that you understand how to navigate your own experiences, which will kind of help you to shape your path. Step number two is that relationships matter. As I just shared, if you have all the experience, if you have all the degrees, a bachelor's, a master's, a doctorate, you've had several, lead roles in high school and college, in Philly and elsewhere, you've received awards, a Tony and Oscar. None of that matters if people do not like you. So relationships are very, very important. None of that matters if people do not want to work with you. So yes, experience is important. Yes, being trained is important. Yes, being able to cultivate a resume is important. But if people don't like you and don't want to work with you, none of that is going is actually going to matter in the long run. I tell my students here in DC all the time that you have to work inward first in order to cultivate the person that you want to be, and who you want to represent, and how that person will manifest in the world around us. And I ask them, how are you going to show up? Your relationship set the tone for every single other relationship that you will have in your life. And networking is important. Get yourself out there. So support your friends that are artists, albeit a designer, an actor, a film person. So support their work and their shows. That's how you meet other people, and that's how you connect. And you don't, like you might not, realize like who's in the audience. It could be another, casting director, or a AI producer, or a fellow actor that's doing AI project, and they are seeking one more actor. So those relationships matter, and it's important to cultivate them. Step number 3 is to remain humble. Even if you are in your dream position, and you are the star of a show, you're in a role of visibility, you become famous from whatever you're doing. Remember that is a blessing. It took work to get there, and it's not permanent. If the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that the curtain can close in an instant, and then you're out of work. So it's important to remain humble and to be humble at all times. There's only a small percentage of artists that can write their own ticket, that are able to design their own destiny. Those are the ones that have the contract. Like writers, they've got personal assistants, they have a AI runner. But even if you have that, even if you are the star of a show, or of a film, you don't want to be known as the diva or the divo. Don't abuse whatever opportunity that you have, because again, relationships matter, and people are watching, from the gaffer to the sound person to the producer, because people talk. So you never know who who is there, who's in the in the background, just watching you as a person. And so just it's important to treat people like you want to be treated. And when you do this, you will find that people are willing and open to work with you, in future shows, in future productions. And again, which that again goes back to that relationships matter, because if you are well to work with, people are going to share that with another casting person, or another director, or or a friend. So it's important that wherever you're working, that you are as humble as possible, and you are trying to cultivate a positive relationship. Now you may say that there are certain people that always get cast in certain roles, and they're always the lead of every production. They're always cast in this film, and a lot of that might I'm gonna have to do with their talent. But the other part of that is that they form relationships with those people that they are working with, to where a director wants to work with them again on film after film after film, or show after show after show. There's a reason for that. And you might say to yourself, well, they're not right for that role, or I would have chose X person, but they were chosen because of that relationship, and they're great to work with. And just remain teachable, and have a great attitude. Step number 4, be your authentic self. Who are you? What are you passionate about? be you, not someone else. Yes, you can, be inspired by certain actors or a director. You can learn from them, you can study from them, but then you have to decide like how you're going to use that info to create what you will be known for. We have to get away from this idea that, oh, he's the next Lin-Manuel or she's the next Viola Davis. You are the next you. So you always want to show up as yourself, because that's very, very important. Don't strive to be compared to someone else. Create your own pathway, be bold and stand out as you. No one was doing what Lin-Manuel was doing, as he wrote In the Heights and, I'm Hamilton. There was nothing to compare it to. His success is mainly from that because he tapped into an area of theater that was not being defined fully by anyone, and he was able to release his authentic self in that experience. And so that's what his rise to fame is, because in his work, it's him, it's who he is, it's his culture, it's his people, that he's trying to share with the world. So that's very, very important. Next step within being your authentic self is that don't let social media curate who you are. You are more than like what is on Instagram and TikTok or Facebook or other apps. Social media is not a replacement for your talent. You still have to show up to that audition one day in person, and they are going to want to see you, not like what's in a video on TikTok or on Facebook. Who you are when no one is looking is the most important when someone is trying to cast a show or a film. And then also it's about truth. Exploring and accepting truth in ourselves brings out the authenticity in our work. Truth is the only thing that the audience wants to see. So they are not are looking for you to just give a performance. They are looking for you to give your authenticity on the stage, and from that a performance will show. But again, if you don't know who you are and like where you are coming from in that performance, then that it will fall flat. It'll be stale. And so those are my four my four great tips on trying to get into the field and like being successful, and then to kind of share like my experience at Temple and like how I've used my degree since that time. Being at Temple Theaters and at Temple, I was offered a great opportunity to network. Networking was very, very important for me. And at that time, back in the late 1998 and 2000s, I was 18 years old as a freshman and a sophomore, and I saw on the call board after theater 100 one day an opportunity for an internship at a Freedom Theater up the road on Broad Street. That internship offered me great opportunities for the future. One, I was able to work with the late great Walter Dallas, who was the AD of the theater at that time, and I learned so much about theater, directing, producing, and I met a lot of great people in the field that were the movers and the shakers, in theater and in Black theater. Number two, I was able to find summer employment in their performing arts training program from my working as an intern, because I was able to cultivate those relationships. From there, I was able to become the casting associate after that summer, and then finally I ended at that theater as the artistic associate, being a second in a charge of, of the theater. I'm under, I'm under the AD. So that was a great experience also. And so that opportunity opened up a lot of doors for me to apply the skills that, I learned at Temple and through, Theater 100. So for those of you that, if they still do theater contracts, like where they actually like to do crew or like to do, a sound design or to, stage manage, those roles are important in shaping who you are as, as an artist. Since that time, I have worked in Philly, Jersey, NYC, toured, and also with, I'm and also currently here in Washington. And as my passions with theater and my career shifted, I found a knack for arts education and educational theater, which landed me, teaching and producing high school theater for the last 18 years, both in Philly and here in DC. I say this because it's important to realize what your passions are, and also what is going to pay the bills. So not that you shouldn't, strive to be the next Broadway star or the next film star. Those are very important, but always have a plan B. Always seek your passions and your desires for like what you want to do in your life. Yes, I was able to get a check from the tour and gigs, doing acting, and as a producer, but I had to figure out at one point what is going to sustain the magic over time, and you have to figure out what's your balance in life, because again, not in there's just a small percentage that are thrust into stardom. Everyone is not going to be famous, and yes, local theaters are very important. They keep the art scene going. Yes, being a part of the community arts are very important. But you just recognize that your career might look different. Everyone's path is different. Some are going to be on Broadway, some will not. But it does not mean that you can't find your path to a great career in the field. And so for me, it's been through education at a school. So yes, I still work professionally as a producer, as a director, but my main work is I'm at a school now. So I'm here now in I'm in Washington, and there's a huge theater scene here, and it actually took me having friends and just being able to network to know that there are owls everywhere. So they that I'm like saying that there are owls everywhere. It's very, very true. There are many here in the city, and because of that, and because of my professors at Temple, I was able to move right into the scene here within like my first year. So since I've been here, I've been at the Seed School, which is a boarding school, and I also do the theater work here for the theater on the program, but it is a non-paying theater job, and that's because my salary job is to oversee the boarding opponent of the school. But I was willing to sacrifice not being paid to do theater with our youth because I was in my passion. I was doing something that that I love, and then also I'm in charge of the budget of the theater program. So there have been many benefits to that work where I've been able to travel to Scotland with the kids, or to California, to NYC, because those experiences for them is very important also. And so I've got a small clip to share that will kind of give you an idea of the theater program that is at Seed, and like the ways that has kind of over time since 2005 has kind of grown national award-winning theater program. Give me 1 second. Can everyone see this? Greetings. Thank you for your interest in CDC. I am Dr. LaMar Bagley, Director of Student Life and also Producing Artistic Director of the award-winning Seed Falcon Theater. The CDC Falcon Theater is CDC's creative and performing arts group, which is designed for students to receive instruction and coaching from a resident faculty of artist educators and are exposed to the various forms of creativity and performance through education, production, competition, and entertainment. All students are encouraged to get involved or audition, regardless of their ability or experiences. This is because the Seed Falcon Theater is designed to promote and develop the skill set of students in the creative and performing arts in a welcoming and familial environment. In 2016 and 2020, the Seed Falcon Theater was recognized by the American High School Theater Festival as one of the nation's top theater programs and was selected to represent the United States at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in Scotland in 2017 and 2020. The Seed Falcon Theater provides students with exposure opportunities in theater, musical theater, dance, and vocal music at CDC and around the DMV area. Each year, the Seed Falcon Theater produces 1 to 2 main stage productions, which include a musical and a drama presentation. We look forward to having you join us as a new Seed Falcon so that you can fly high and share your talents with the CDC community, the DMV region, and the world. See you soon. And that's it.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing all that stuff. That was a lot to take in. I think I'm hopeful that a lot of the students will understand the paths are different for everyone. You think you start out in one place, right, in undergrad, and then your path takes different routes throughout life, for sure. I have a couple questions, but I wanted to see if any students wanted to ask anything first of Dr. Bagley. Feel free to unmute yourself. Yeah, go ahead, Akash. Yeah.
I was just wondering how you've been keeping yourself busy within like the theater industry during quarantine.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of streaming productions. So a lot of my theater colleagues have, explored the digital, on the platforms like for theater and like for the arts. So I've been, supporting that one because, I'm fortunate enough to be at a school to where, it's a bit different. But for a lot of, community theaters, a lot of their funding is now from these streaming shows. So, I've been trying to support that as much as possible. Also, I've been doing a lot of reading, of new plays and like scripts. For a while, I was very sad because usually I see at least 4 to 5 shows a month all throughout the year. And it's been really hard for the past year to not see live theater. And so, I've been trying to find the best way, possible to see it, albeit, on YouTube or, on a streaming platform, Facebook. And then just today on CNN, I saw that the mayor of NYC is now going to focus on theater, professionals in the city getting vaccinated over the summer, so that on the Broadway can return in September. So that's a good thing.
I was just curious, so which we read a little bit in your bio, but you briefly mentioned too, you're staying connected to Owls when you moved to DC. And what was your interest in getting on the alumni board, and your continuity and staying in touch with folks at Temple?
Yeah, there were several, reasons. So even after I graduated, I still ran the Temple Arts box office for 2 or 3 years after that. So for some reason, I could just not leave Philly and in the school. And so I think just one, being able to be connected in like some sort of way. Again, because the friendships are very, very important. And then also at a time like when you're striving to like find your path, those opportunities to where you're still able to connect with folks that are doing projects or doing shows, outside of the theater, department, that was, also important to me. I got involved with the board for TFMA, mainly to ensure that we are able to cultivate a network of support for artists of color, to ensure that they are, they are visible on stage. At Temple, they've got a network of alumni that are able to to support them, and that we are beginning to look at like how do we support everybody and be more inclusive, so that your experience as you graduate is more fruitful. So back when I was in school, I had a difficult time accepting that someone is going to receive a BA in theater and acting, and they were not once on a on our stage or in a main stage of production. Yes, they took acting 1, 2, 3, and 4. They may have gotten an A or B in those classes, but the true work, is shown when you're able to actually apply the work somewhere. So if you aren't able to apply it like beyond just scene work, then for me at that time, I felt like there was a disservice to the students that were receiving a BA in theater. So that's why I ended up creating my own production company while I was there, to ensure that there was some sort of exposure or experience that enabled undergrads to have some time on stage. And so that was very important to me. So that's how I kind of got involved with the board to just kind of ensure that that everyone is being taken care of in some way, shape, or fashion.
Thank you for that. Yes, and for students who are interested in getting more involved, I pasted the Facebook group for the TFMA alumni. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Bagley, but you can be a student and get on the Facebook group.
Correct.
And you'll
Yes.
start building relationships now for sure. That's great.
And there's a lot of postings about auditions and shows and different opportunities that are in that group.
Nice. Oh, and I saw that Marissa posted a comment when you were saying about contracts, that yes, contracts are still a thing. Students still have to complete 4 before graduation. So.
Yes, yeah, and as much as you might not care for it, it's very, very important. So I can say for me, as I went into professional work, having had experience as a sound person or to move a set piece or something like that, that really offered me the opportunity to first understand the business, and then while working on professional shows, because I had the knowledge of certain things, people treated me differently because I wasn't just the actor that that just wanted to act. I understood the makeup, I understood the costumes, I understood the ways to hang a light. Those things are important as you go in to your career.
I have another question related to sort of networking, and if you find, and sort of it kind of goes with that cautious question about, while a large portion of us are still remote, and that you watch different streaming theater productions and things like that, and saying reading scripts. How do you find, as far as, we have LinkedIn and that Facebook group we just talked about, do you find there are other, or do you have advice on ways that students can reach out or stay in touch with theater professionals in this remote capacity?
Yeah, I would. So I mean, even now, currently, like for a theater program, I follow a lot of different theaters and different student groups and companies. Those are important because you're able to see like what everyone is doing, and then if they are having auditions, or if they are doing a certain show, or they might post a video of of like their rehearsal, or of their like performance, and so you're able to see like what everyone is doing. I would say that getting connected in that way is important to expanding your network, because then they might follow you back, and then they're able to see your work. But also you're able to as you like posts and make comments, and you foster a dialogue, those artists or those people or those organizations might engage you in a different way. So yeah, so I would say definitely follow, if you like certain theater groups, or if you like certain actors or artists or producers, follow them. So I'm not saying that they might not respond to every message, but I do believe that it's important to at least see like what they're doing.
And then Marissa posted in the chat a couple of questions. Once your network is relatively large, what tactics do you recommend to use to maintain healthy connections with people in that network?
I would say you have to figure out what's important to you. What are your passions? What are you striving to do? And then you want to be sure to maintain those relationships. So if you meet 15 people and only 7 of them are going to assist you in your path, make sure you stay connected with those 7 people. Not that the other 12 or the other 8 are not important, but you want to ensure that you are cultivating some sort of relationship with them, so that way you are a part of their network. I mean, I can say, like, for myself now, there are several friends from Temple that I'm still connected with, that are in Hamilton, or on Queen Sugar or things like that, to where we still connect. And if before the world shut down, and I'm in the city, or I'm in LA, they're like, hey, you're here, I'm gonna be at this party, Oprah's throwing something. And so we are at her party with those other actors and the artists. But it took those positive relationships with those core people for me to get in those in those spaces. People have to trust you, because not everyone will open the door to the same area that Oprah's going to be in. So it's that's important in figuring out like who is most important to you to assist you in your path.
And there was a follow-on, and Marissa, please feel free to unmute yourself if there's some clarity needed now. And how do you recommend reconnecting with people in your network after a year or more of radio silence? Do I still have that right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say again, a social media is a great thing right now. I would start there, or if you are doing a project, or if they're about to start something, you can reconnect that way. You can or just do a check-in. I think that's important too. We oftentimes forget to just do a check-in, and that might spark a conversation, or maybe you do a, a Zoom party, or, like you might, I'm like host an event to where you just want to, chat, talk about old theater times, or, I'm like, watch a show that you all did, 2 years ago, whatever it might be. Find ways to reconnect that way, to kind of open the door to, as we go into the rest of the year, that's going to, reinvigorate, those, friendships.
I have a question about advanced degrees. So do you think that what do you think about once a student finishes undergrad and the path between additional degrees, or gaining additional experience, or combination of both?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm stuck right in the, in the I'm like middle of that. So yes, and advanced degree is important. If that's what you want to do. It's not the end all be all. There are many successful actors and artists that don't have a master's or a doctorate in acting or film or theater, and they've done quite well. And so, not saying that you have to do that. I think it depends on like your path, and like what you're striving to do. Many get in MFA in theater or in acting, or like whatever it might be, because they might want to, somewhere down the road teach or be a professor, or or do certain things, or they're, they want to ensure a certain salary, a bracket. Yes, I think the experience is definitely worth it. You can definitely tune your skill set. But I don't think it's necessary for you to have to go to grad school. I also believe that, the real world experience is important too. As you go into grad school and in your professional career, a lot of schools or even a lot of, companies or producers look for what experience do you have. Sometimes it's like, what's your experience beyond just being at Temple. Were you in a show, at the Walnut? Were you in a show at the Wilma? What experience is there outside of your acting degree or your designer degree? Those are important too. And again, because people want to know that you're able to work with people and that you are employable. So if the only thing on your resume is your high school shows and your college schools shows, some folks might not want to work with you because you have no real world application yet.
That's really helpful. Does anybody else have any? Oh, I see. Marissa asks, she notes, yeah, she's a junior considering an MFA in acting, but not sure if she should try working first before going for a graduate degree. Yeah, it's always something, I think, and Chris, if he has experience when he meets with students too, just in different art spaces, about navigating the balance between those worlds for sure. So that's very helpful. Does anyone else have any questions or comments or anything they want to ask Dr. Bagley? No. All right.
I mean, I can throw another question in there.
Please, yeah, by all means, yeah.
Sure. Also, is this like a cameras on or off type event? I just have mine off as a default because I'm never sure.
Totally up to you. It's totally fine.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Oh, cool. A wave too. I dig it. My next question is, I mentioned in one of my comments that I'm a junior, and I'm trying to convince myself and shake myself into starting to apply for shows outside of Temple, even though I'm still studying, but I think it'd be good to start going for it. And it sort of ties into like the self-confidence aspect of theater, but what sort of things did you do to build that sort of self-assurance, or that you actively practice if you ever get too in your head about things?
Very good question. Again, so I mean, as I said earlier, I think it's important to explore your inner self first, and and to figure out like what's best for you. And then and I think it's important to have a group of friends to tell you about yourself. I mean, so I think it starts there, and then it's also about taking that first step out the door to to just do it, because there will be failure. So don't expect the first time you do it, that I can. Because everyone's experience is different, and you can actually learn from that. Versus seeing it as a failure. So I mean, even as a junior, I think about Amina Robinson. So we were in our school together, and we both worked at Freedom Theater. Like she was, like the I'm the lead in the show there while at in our school. So I think that the professional experiences help to shape your degree also. And so because you're able to bring that back to your experience at Temple and say, well, I have been in the show, and I have learned this, and you're able to apply it in a different way. And it also sets the tone for your fellow artists that, oh, you're now coming to the table with a different experience, because it's not just about college theater. You're able to give an example of decorum, of being in a professional setting, that you're able to share with your friends, that that I don't want to say that it's going to give you I'm like one up on them, but I'm able to have that confidence of, here's what I've done, and I'm able to use that to apply elsewhere.
Thank you. Can I build off of that question a bit?
Sure, absolutely.
Another thing that I like about theater is that you can do so many things with a theater degree, especially like you said with contracts. Um, can you speak more on your experience with being sort of like a multi-skilled theater artist, or how you introduce yourself into a space? Like, say I audition for a show, but I also dabble in stage management and I dabble in lighting, how I can introduce those skills to, I don't like an audition panel, or just saying like, hey, when you hire me, it's not just as an actor, I can do so many more things than that.
Yeah, I'll definitely find a way to highlight that on your resume. Those skill sets are very, very important. And I think too. So for me, I came into Temple as as an actor, and I loved acting in high school and seventh grade. I loved acting. My freshman year, I was cast in a show. My very first time trying out, with the department. And after that, I was like, you know what, this is fun, but I like to produce and direct. But it took a Theater 100 contract where I did sound design, to where I was like, oh, this is cool too. So I ended up doing sound on design for several shows. So I think it's important that once you find what you like to do, or even if it's everything, make sure that people are aware of that in like some shape or fashion. So audition for shows, apply for a tech job also, or because if they are about to cast a show, they're also looking for a crew too. So I mean, and then if you're ever in a casting room and they offer you the opportunity to share something else, share. I have an interest in tech. I enjoy costumes. Because they again, and they want to know who you are as a person. Share yourself, because then that way you're able to give them more of yourself, and they're able to see, oh well, we can't a caster here, but she has experience as a stage manager.
Cool, thank you.
No problem.
Great. Does anybody else have any other questions they want to ask of Dr. Bagley? And I was going to ask too, I put in the chat your LinkedIn profile. Is it okay if students reach out to you and connect on there?
Sure.
Okay. Great. And just for a tip for any students who haven't really used LinkedIn, definitely include a note when you're reaching out to professionals and remind them of, why you're reaching out and how you met them or heard of them. So just quick professional development thing. But this is it, everybody. Thanks so much for your time, Dr. Bagley, and for students for participating and engaging outside of class. I know this was not required, so I'm very happy that you were all able to be here today, and for all of your energy and enthusiasm, and Dr. Bagley for all of your words of wisdom. So thanks so much, and everyone take care.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.